Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the final three presentations of the afternoon and the conclusion of the Innovation Line's shortlist presentations. First up, please welcome from the USA, Hashim Bajwa and David Casino to tell us about Thunderclap, the world's megaphone.
18 months ago, a law was about to be voted into Congress that would allow the government the ability to shut down any website, anywhere, anytime, for any reason, with the stroke of a pen. Now, as a software developer living in New York City, this threatened my very livelihood. It threatened the canvas that I would express my creativity on. And I became really angry. I was posting on social media all this information. I even changed my avatar photos everywhere. For the first time in my life, I called my senators, my representatives, to express my outrage. One day I went for a walk, and I went by Zuccotti Park. And Zuccotti Park is where the Occupy Wall Street protesters were encamped. And I saw something I've never seen before. They were doing something called a human megaphone. And a little background, there's a law that you cannot use electronic amplification in New York City without a permit. And so they got around this by using the power of their voice to have a message travel. Here's how it works. Let's say I'm the speaker. I would say a sentence. Everyone within earshot of me would repeat it verbatim, and the people behind them would repeat the message verbatim, causing the message to ripple throughout the park until everyone could hear it loudly and clearly. And watching this, I was mesmerized. I was staring there. I ended up standing there for 20 minutes, and I thought, why can't you do this online?
I've spent my career in online communications trying to help really big brands spread a message on social media. And I had become very frustrated that much of what these brands were doing was really polluting the internet with stuff that people didn't really want, that didn't seek out. I thought that we were so inundated, I'm sure all of us in this room, with new social media tools and technologies and apps and new sites. How does anything that really matters stand out amongst all that clutter? I began my career working at the UN in communications, where I saw lots of countries come together around issues that they were trying to solve. So when I heard what Dave was doing, I was very inspired by it, and together with our third partner, Chelsea, we created Thunderclap.
Here's how it works. Thunderclap is really simple. You create a tweet-sized message, 120 characters plus a link. You post it up there, you put some supporting copy saying why this is important to you, why people should support it, and you set a goal. This is how many people need to support the Thunderclap in order for it to go out. Think of it as Kickstarter for messaging. On a given date and time, once you've reached your full amount of supporters, Thunderclap will blast out all the messages on behalf of your supporters all at the same time, creating a disturbance in the force.
And one of the first Thunderclap that made us actually realize we could really create impact with this technique was for the Royal British Legion. They have a day every year in Britain called Remembrance Sunday. This is the Thunderclap that they created. Being a bit of a naive American, I never really realized how important that day was in Britain. I sort of thought it was like Veterans Day, and I just know that as a day off. But in fact, it's really meaningful in Britain, and everybody pauses for this. They use Thunderclap to actually take 2 minutes of silence online. So it's kind of an interesting thing to use social media to try to create people to stop tweeting and Facebook posting. And it was very impactful very quickly. There was a lot of people that supported it in a very short time. And we started to think, wow, we can actually get people to do something with this.
Next up is another Thunderclap organized by the tech community. And the goal of this is to rally people to make a change in Congress, to update our outdated immigration laws that make it difficult to hire technical talent from other countries, et cetera. They use Thunderclap to put pressure on Congress to change this law. What you see here is the dashboard that they would see. We track clicks across different networks, segmented. They can see what their supporter breakout is. But most importantly, the metric that we track is the ability to see who is actually promoting your Thunderclap. So after you support one, we immediately ask, hey, would you like to share this with your friends to bring more people in? And an astonishing 50% of people invite more people to join the Thunderclap, creating a viral effect.
Also on this dashboard, we track the supporters, and we can show to the organizer of any Thunderclap campaign who actually supported it, some background on them. We show them in real time, kind of as they come in, ranked by the size of their following, and how they are recruiting more people. So we start to actually find out who's bringing in more people, who is more influential in that sense. Most importantly, in this set of it, we allow, if the user has opted in, to be recontacted by the organizer. We didn't want it to just be this one flash mobby thing. We wanted to actually create a way for you who are creating a Thunderclap to re-engage people that have already said that they're interested in the thing you're building. So hopefully kind of snowballs over time into a little bit of an army online that you can tap into. One of those people that supported this particular Thunderclap was the president. He posted on Facebook and on Twitter about it. It created a good amount of stir. But I think what's important to remember here is that even if someone has a huge following, they still have the same influence on our site as anybody else. So for example, if the goal is 100 people to support my message, if the president supports it with his 31 million followers, that counts as one. And if a mom in Toledo, Ohio, who has 50 people on her Twitter following or Facebook friends supports it, she counts as one. So you still have to reach a goal, and that creates sort of a flattened level. Even though we sort of seem to be very democratic left-wing in our politics, Glenn Beck also used Thunderclap, which was a surprise for us. He's kind of a wingnut on the right in America. And he actually tried to get people to go to an event called Restoring Love. That was the name of the event. So we thought that was interesting. We really don't want to take an opinion about who uses the site. It's a platform, and anybody can create content. It's just incumbent upon them to get people to support it. If they don't get supporters, then the message never gets fired out. Some other stuff that's happened on it. This was Charity Water, popular among the tech set. They were raising donations through Thunderclap. People would be able to donate right on the site. Another one was how brands have been using Thunderclap. We were approached by a lot of brands. This one, Shark Week. The brands actually are forced to do something good on Thunderclap. Otherwise, they won't get anywhere with it. And this comes back to us wanting to create stuff that people actually like and seek out. So Shark Week was essentially promoting the start of the show, but the way that they used Thunderclap was to show all the things that they're doing with conservation and encouraging people to go sign up with one of 3 different conservation partners that they work with. So this performed better than their promoted tweet campaign and was probably a lot more authentic than buying a promoted tweet ad. Levi's used Thunderclap in a different way. Instead of creating a Thunderclap, they actually wanted to support people who were already using the site. So 3 different causes were using the site, and Levi's matched any money that they raised through the site, and then also promoted it. Outside of causes, Major League Baseball, up to the World Series, did a competition between these 2 Thunderclaps to see which would get the most support. And in an ironic twist, San Francisco got more supporters, but Detroit won the World Series. Over you.
Yeah, so about 3 months ago, we released a new piece of technology for Thunderclap where you can actually embed it on any website. So when the White House approached us to use Thunderclap, we gave them 2 lines of code, they dropped it on their homepage, and people could easily, with one click, support Thunderclap on that site. So when you click the button, the modal comes up, you can support it, you can invite your friends to support it, and the modal immediately goes away. They did something also very interesting. They kept it open-ended as far as the timeline, and they wanted to release all these supporters at a tactical moment in time. So there was a big vote in the Senate about gun control. Joe Biden was doing a press conference live on a Google chat on the page, and they blasted out the Thunderclap pointing to this page right before the vote.
This is a list of some of the top supporters of their Thunderclap. Definitely cool to see the White House using it. But what got us really excited was that Brent Spiner supported it. For those of you who don't know, Brent Spiner is the actor that played Data in Star Trek: The Next Generation. And Chelsea is a big Trekkie, so we all kind of had a little moment. So in addition to really cool organizations using it, every day about 100 or so Thunderclaps are created by small organizations, local groups, and lots of individual people. This is a snapshot of a few of them: an aphrodisiac, someone selling Jamie Oliver's Food Revolution, a teenager in California about Edward Snowden, which is related to the whole PRISM thing, Craig Newmark and veterans. Somebody actually used this to drive a Kickstarter campaign and get funding for that. Other issues like ending child marriage, stopping rape in the military, and censorship. Check out the site, you can see a lot of that content. This is just a feed from Twitter from this morning. You can see if you search Thunderclap, you can see the stream of tweets that are being put out into that. About 10% of our content so far has trended on Twitter. These are 4 of them: teen pregnancy and climate change.
So what's the technology under the hood? There's nothing sexy, there's no 3D visualizations, but we are solving some hard engineering problems. One of those is scale, in particular burst scale. So when we were in this live campaign with Jenna Rivera, a pop singer who died in a tragic plane crash, every time they would mention Thunderclap and telling people to support it on live television, we get a burst of traffic. And we see this all the time with celebrities tweeting, pointing to Thunderclap. The other engineering challenge we had to solve with this was simultaneously hitting Twitter and Facebook as fast as possible to create that moment in time. You can't just hand Twitter or Facebook 20,000 messages and have them post them right away. So we created a horizontally scaling queuing system where we would hit them from different servers through different processes all at the same time.
In addition to people who created Thunderclaps, lots of people supported them who never created any Thunderclaps but believed in the causes. These people found out about these different causes on their own and came in and supported it via Twitter and Facebook, including a lot of people in the tech community we really respect. To close out, we have 3 Thunderclaps that we think summarize the spectrum of impact we can have with the platform. The first one was with the UN, so brought it full circle for me. They were trying to raise awareness of World Humanitarian Day, an event that very few people know about. I worked there for 3 years, and I didn't know about World Humanitarian Day. This year, what they did was they had one of their Goodwill ambassadors, Beyonce, create a Thunderclap and invite people to support it and pledge that they would volunteer and do something specific in their community. They ended up getting hundreds of thousands of people to support it, and this is just a snapshot of some of the people and brands.
And from a global campaign, Beyonce powering, let's switch gears to a very local, this happened in the UK campaign. Alice Pine was dying of bone cancer, a friend of the family created a Thunderclap in order to get people to register to be bone marrow donors. And after the Thunderclap went out, he went to the local registration centers in his area, and they saw a 7x increase in people actually registering to be bone marrow donors. And what brought it sort of full circle for me as a programmer and a techie was seeing Fight for the Future. Remember that law I told you about earlier, the one where the government could shut down any website? Well, as soon as that law got shut down, which it was shut down, they created this organization to make sure something like SOPA never happened again. And to see them using our platform really brought it full circle, and it showed us that if people come together and if they act together at the same time, we can make change. Thank you.
Congratulations. People know that I love this, so I'll pass it on to other people.
I think it's fantastic. I just wanted to know more about the financials. How does this work from a financial perspective? It looks like it's a free service? I mean...
Yep. So we've kind of bootstrapped the development of the site. It's just 3 of us so far. And the way the business model works is it's free for anybody to use a Thunderclap, to create a Thunderclap of their own. And where the economics come in is when brands and larger organizations want to do more with the platform, like branding the page, being able to recontact users, being able to do email signups, being able to promote it in different ways, and getting access to all of that, that's then where there's a fee for that. So anybody can use the site for free, and then they can pay a fee to get the updated things. Our belief is that everybody should be able to have the most effective Thunderclap possible, and if they want to be able to tie it into campaigns, white label it on their website, or access a lot of the data, we charge for that because of the additional work.
So if consumers use it, it's for free, but if brands want to utilize it, there's going to be a
Yeah,
charge.
brands can use it for free too, but if they want to brand the page and put their logo on it and put a banner and drop in a video and have a background, or if they want to have it all exist on their website without a Thunderclap logo, then for those things we would charge for that. But anybody can use the site for free. Related to that as well is a lot of the agencies that I think are working with brands have been probably the best at crafting different messages for the brands. So a lot of agencies approach us to try to get extra help figuring out how to make the campaign work within their broader campaigns. So that's kind of cool to see the platform be something pretty much anybody can tap into.
So congratulations. I have 2 questions. The first one is the reach numbers you have, the potential reach. What's your delivery like? And is it consistent across Facebook and Twitter? And secondly, what does Twitter think of this as far as aggregating voice?
Yeah, I can answer the Twitter part. Maybe you want to answer the...
Yeah, sure. So the friends and followers, the social reach number that is shown prominently on the page, that is simply the sum total of the friends and followers that support the Thunderclap. So if there's 100 people supporting a Thunderclap, and on average they have 1,000 Twitter followers, 1,000 Facebook friends, we just do a simple sum total. There's no way to know how many people actually saw the message in the post, but we do track click-throughs, and a good ballpark figure is for every supporter that we're seeing across campaigns post a message, we're seeing between 1 to 3x click-through per supporter. And it averages out, because you might have Barack Obama tweeting it and he gets 1,000 clicks, and you might have someone like me clicking it or tweeting it and getting 2 clicks. But across the board, per supporter, we're seeing about 1 to 3x click-through per supporter.
This is kind of different than just doing retweets, because retweets like dribble out. So let's say 100 people retweet a message. That trickles out over a period of time. We bank that all up, and then we see 2 or 3 times X the activity on top of the retweets that we would see normally if 100 people tweeted it on their own. And then we see retweets on top of that. So it sort of has like several ripples. And then we see it also just, people, the virality of it. So when people say, I support this, they're immediately sharing, half of them, to Twitter and Facebook to invite more people in. So that gives you kind of added exposure.
So the second part of your question, what does Twitter think about this? Well, when we launched Thunderclap about a year ago, we did a large campaign with Matt Taibbi, Rolling Stone journalist, successful right off the gate because of his very active following. And we blasted the messages out, and I got an email from Twitter's trust and safety team telling us that our token was revoked. So with the stroke of a pen, we were riding this startup high of, yeah, the thing works, and then boom, we got shut down. It was good because it made us immediately add Facebook support, which is something that was on our roadmap, and we got that out within a week or two. And in the meantime, we talked to Twitter's trust and safety team, trying to really hone in on what it is about what we're doing that they weren't happy with. And through a long series of emails, we kind of got to the core of the issue. We made a couple tiny changes on the platform, such as allowing people to edit the message before it goes out, which was great. It was better for the platform anyway. And then once they gave us our API token back, they also invited us to be part of their preferred partner ecosystem. We flew out to a conference. Hash and I explained.
So I didn't know this, but Twitter has 400 salespeople around the world, and they all came together for an event in San Francisco, and we were asked to present Thunderclap to them. And it was like, I thought Twitter would be like nerdy, birds on the ceiling kind of thing. Instead, it was like air horns, Gangnam Style was on stage, and it was this crazy like frat party. But we were able to be part of that and expose them to Thunderclap as well.
Sorry, next question.
Well, you just answered half my question, but the other half is about due to the controversial nature of the content that you're getting. I hoped you could talk a little bit about the moderation process, and this seems like something 4chan would love. So I was wondering if there were any stories of issues.
It's been. I was expecting to have to. So every Thunderclap that gets submitted, we have to approve it, and we're filtering for just really obscene stuff like pornography or hateful messages, bullying, things that are just purely distasteful. We don't take a political position. We showed the Glenn Beck example during the gun violence one. We're doing one for the White House. Meanwhile, these gun advocate groups are doing Thunderclaps at the same time. So we don't really take a political position, but we do filter the content for anything that's hateful or distasteful.
That's a human process of moderation.
Yes, we do it each and every one.
We also try to look out for like automated stuff, whether it's like spam or other things, and we're somewhat good at that. But our thesis is that even if there were to be like a spam campaign using spam bots, who would see? Like, no one would ever see it if it would even get supported, because it would be sort of an echo chamber of itself. So we've sort of focused more on the manual, like is this content hateful or good or not, in that sense, and kind of left the automated stuff off for now, at least.
I actually used this before I came over to check it out, and I found that it's actually quite difficult to get people following you unless you do your own lobbying. And I was just wondering, are you guys implementing, or do you have some sort of system in place, similar to Kickstarter, how recommended by editors, and what are you guys doing to help people get their supporters from people outside of their circles?
Yeah, it's all the promotion comes from the campaign organizer. So we're we'll send out tweets and shout outs and stuff, but it's up to the organizer to rally support. So the tools that we're building to give them better recruitment tools are, number one, after you run successful campaigns, you can re-engage your base, which is great. We just released a guide that's sort of a best practices. Here's how to craft a message. Here's the best ways to promote it, and the content has to be good. You could make a message that you could have a huge audience. In fact, we had one Thunderclap organizer who had close to 1 million followers, and it was actually cool content. It was about this goods made, like sort of like an Etsy, like made in foreign countries. And even though that person had 1 million followers, she only got 20 supporters. And it's a lot of it's promotion. It's a lot of it. Is the message itself something that someone's like, yeah, I'll back that. Yeah, it has to have like an emotional sort of pull to it.
We had somebody who was in Texas who had, I think, under 100 friends on Facebook and didn't use Twitter at all on this. And this person did something about Code for America and kind of how the tech sector could help government issues, and managed to get 150 people to support it with a reach that was close to 1 million. They had a few people that had really big followings jump onto it. And the person was just, we kind of talked to them, like, how did this happen? And they were really just like at messaging people, they were sending out emails. They sort of did a lot of other things to try to get more activity in. I think that was intriguing for us, that even somebody who has on the surface like influence because of a big number doesn't actually mean they're going to do anything on it. Seeing the people in local communities rally a small group and getting a lot of people to do something after that was cool to see. And that's where we're kind of going with the site as well. We believe that, you know, action is more important as well. It's one thing to spread a message, but again, how do we lead to more activity? Like seeing people sign up for volunteering, signing petitions, donating money. There's a lot of features we can talk about where we want to build out more ways to get people to actually do something.
Any more questions? Facebook just told me that they want to buy you, so you can do a deal with them later.
Strangely, there's been like a lot of media companies that are interested, and we're sort of in a small, between us and this large room, bidding war between the holding companies. But we've sort of wanted to build this as a startup, and so we're trying to raise investment capital. So if Facebook wants to invest, we'll definitely talk about that. But we're not looking to sell it anytime soon.
Anyway, congratulations. It's amazing, and good luck. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.